Hi, this is Alex Mondosian, and stay right there. Please grab a pencil or grab a pen and write old school, because this computer, there's something that works where it's mechanical and you're typing and it's going through some software and hardware, and you lose some of the heart and the energy. I want this to be a heart-centered, rapid revenue session, not a head-centered one. The heart is being led, and right now the head I want to follow. Lead with the heart, follow with the head. That's a tip, and that's just like pushing down the accelerator in a car. You can do this all day like I did when I was 6 years old in my dad's Oldsmobile, but I wasn't going anywhere, thank God. I wouldn't be here with you. But if I pressed down on the accelerator with the ignition turned, I'd be moving, and then the head is telling me where to go. So the head is about direction, and the heart is about movement. Nothing happens until something moves, said Albert Einstein. Now, what I say, Alex Mondosian, today in the 21st century, is nothing happens until your offer is exposed. And you are your offer. You are your message. So nothing happens until you are exposed. Many authors, speakers, serial entrepreneurs, brick-and-mortar business owners, coaches, holistic healers, anyone in the wellness industry, doesn't matter what vocation you're in, they will die, take their last breath, without leaving a legacy, and they're not remembered, not because what they did, not because how hard they worked, but they didn't know how to get more exposure, and we call that marketing. A business does three things. It does operations, it does production, which is what I'm doing right now, production. I have operations, I have bookkeeping and ways of managing the business, and it does marketing. Of the three, operations and productions cost money, marketing makes money. And I recommend that you put 50% of your resources when you can into marketing, and then 25% into operations and 25% into production. It is not possible for some businesses to even fathom to put those types of resources into marketing. However, you can get there, and the most successful businesses on earth do that. Tony Hsieh put 50% of his marketing back into marketing with his help desk and built Zappos, not by running ads, but by allowing customer service reps to talk to people for half an hour at a time. And people would even steal from Zappos, and the people who stole from them talked to other people, word of mouth, word of mouse, and he built a billion-dollar company, and he was almost broke at the time. He lost a lot of money before he started the company and building it, and then Amazon.com as a competitor purchased it during a recession at, I believe, 9 figures. I don't know the actual number. Okay, so let's start with the question, what I want you to ask any client, patient. I'm going to call them a prospect, and that is, why are you here? I'm going to go round robin, but I'll tell you why I'm here. I am here because this is called a rapid revenue session. You are here because you are in a predicament, you have a problem, you have a pain point you may or may not want to talk about, and you want a solution. And I'm going to teach you how to attract high-end clients. Now, some of you are here because you are contributors for Billionaire Mentor magazine, and I am vetting you, and you are vetting me to see, do I know what I'm talking about on how to attract more high-end clients. Now, if you had an option to have 100 $100 clients or one $10,000 client, you would generate the same revenue. Now, my question is, which of the two do you want to go after? The one $10,000 client or the 100 $100 clients to make a $10,000 amount in high-end revenue? Now, A is 100 $100 clients, okay? B is one $10,000 client. I want to see a show of hands. Who says A, they prefer to go after 100 $100 clients? Put your hands up. That's one, okay? And who wants to go after one $10,000 client? Put your hands up. Very good. Everyone voted. Thank you. And I didn't see Steve vote because he has his picture, but I'm just going to assume that he chose one or the other. Steve, you chose number 2. Good. All right. So my preference and the why you're here, and I have both. I have 100,000 $100 clients, and I have, I think I don't know how many, but I think over 1,000 $10,000 clients over the time I've been teaching this. And I will tell you that it is easier to get one $10,000 client than 100 $100 clients. It's easier to get one $10,000 client with 100 tries than 100 $100 client with 100 tries. In fact, you're going to try typically 1,000 times to get $10,000 with $100 clients versus 100 times to get one $10,000 client. Here's the reality, and I hope I'm being clear. It'll take 1 out of 20 conversations to get one $10,000 client if you follow the methodology I'm about to teach you. I do it 1 in 3. It took me 1 in 20 about 2 years ago until I learned a methodology I'm going to teach you right now. Now, it's going to seem like I am enrolling you, and it is. I'm smuggling the enrollment. I'm enrolling you into this process. So yes, you can work with me. No, you can't work with me right away if you'd like. Yes, you can contribute to Billionaire Magazine, Billionaire Mentor Magazine, but no, you can't do it right away until there's an additional vetting process. The reason why I'm here is to teach you this methodology that you can teach any person on your team, from a 13-year-old to a 78-year-old, and that's been my range so far. There's a 91-year-old right now with cataracts, walks with a cane, and doesn't know how to turn on a laptop, who is learning this methodology, not by a hangout, by phone, because he knows how to use that. He's a good friend of mine. He lives in San Francisco. But I've been teaching a 6-year-old, but she's not as good at it. You know, she's in Melbourne. She's of Indian descent. Her English is impeccable, but she hasn't been enough pain to focus on the methodology of what I teach. So just know that this is how to enroll premium clients, high-end clients, because it's less work, you go into high growth mode faster, and you get more $100 clients through downselling versus upselling. I don't believe in upselling, although I do it all the time. Downselling is where you have a higher price, higher investment, and then you downsell, which is gravity. Upselling is where you start low, and then you try to get them up, and that's going against gravity. You spend a lot more rocket fuel going out of the atmosphere than coming into the atmosphere. A rocket, a spaceship that takes off from Cape Canaveral, I'm told, spends 85% of its rocket fuel leaving the 76-mile atmosphere where gravity is an issue from Earth. And then it can go to the moon, which is 250,000 miles away, and back, which is another 250,000 miles. So 500,000 miles, right? Miles, that's a long ways, with 15% fuel because there's no gravity. That's downselling. Upselling is trying to be that rocket taking off with all the fuel and all of the waste and all that stuff is being used up in the first 76 miles. That's the best metaphor I can think of. So I want to go round robin right now and find out from you, and I'm doing what I ask others to do. This will last about an hour. Usually these last about 40 minutes, but I'll be saying time out and tell on myself on what I'm doing so you see what I'm smuggling. And the key to smuggling is to tell on yourself so there's transparency, so that you not only know and like me, but you trust the process, you understand it, you believe it, and it becomes a priority for you. All right, so let's start with Steve. Steve, why are you here? Unmute yourself and look right into the camera like you're doing. I love the background with the rhino there. Why are you here?
I got a Facebook message from one of your assistants asking me to contribute to your magazine.
Okay, very good. His name is Mohammed Sadiq, and we run Billionaire Mentor Magazine. I'll show you what it's all about. It's on iTunes right now, and it's about mentorship. Thank you, Steve. Steve G., why are you here?
Hello, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Good. I also received the same message from a very nice girl on Facebook indicating that I was going to be interviewed for Billionaire Mentor Magazine.
Okay. The only thing is, I'm sure it was a very nice girl or woman. I don't know who it was. I think I know. You may be interviewed for Billionaire Mentor. We still have a little bit of vetting to do. So is that clear to you?
It is now. It wasn't clear then, and I'm not very satisfied with that, but I'm intrigued, so I'll continue with you.
Okay, you can leave if you like, because that way you won't waste your time. This is still vetting because the Billionaire Mentor Magazine is very scarce in the number of people we have right for it. So there's one additional vetting to do, and that means that you have to believe in what I'm saying. If you don't, then you're not going to contribute. So if you'd like to leave, you can, but I want to make sure you're here because you want to be here.
I'll stay on.
Okay, thanks, Steve. And may I call you Steve, or is it Steven?
Steve.
Steve, very good. Lisa, why are you here?
Hey there, hey guys. Same reason. I got a message from a lovely lady on Facebook named Carol, I believe her name was, saying that I would be here being interviewed for Billionaire Mentor Magazine. So far, I'm interested in what you have to say. I was a little confused, just like the previous gentleman that just said. I was a little confused as to why we were all here on a hangout, because I thought it was going to be like a one-on-one kind of thing. But, you know, I'm familiar with your name. I'm familiar with your background. So let's get into it and ready to take some notes.
Okay. You probably all will be interviewed for the magazine. And I have done interviews, and I'll give you links to the interviews. The purpose you are here is, in addition to the magazine, which is just an article, it's impotent, big deal, you get more exposure, is part of the message is how to enroll higher-end clients. And I just made a statement, between $100 clients and $10,000 clients, $100,000 speaking gigs versus $10,000 speaking gigs, there's a methodology to enroll people to do that. And so if you have absolutely no interest in learning how to do that and teaching others on your team to do that for you, then that's part of the purpose of being here, not just being interviewed for the magazine, because that's kind of like a cul-de-sac. That's a dead end. You have an article and woo, everyone gets to read about you. But once you get the lead from them, I'm going to also teach you how to enroll them into higher end offers and products. I'm assuming there's some interest in that. And that's why I said, if there's no interest in that, then there's no purpose in staying, because we'll probably interview you anyway, all right? So as long as that's clear, then this is a permission-based event. Eddie, you're up. You're muted. So there's a mute somewhere. I still can't hear you. You're probably muted somewhere on your computer. What you can do is go to the I love your background, by the way. You can go to the chat, which is in the upper left-hand corner. There's a little blue box. You can chat, and the rest of you can chat as well and talk behind my back. I'll be watching it all the text anyway. And you can just type in your question. Latersa, why are you here? Go ahead and unmute yourself and give me your picture. I saw you left, so that either says I offended you or you got kicked out. I'm glad you got kicked out. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Tell me why you're here. Unmute. There we go. Go for it.
Can you hear me?
I can. Go for it.
I was also invited by a lady on Facebook to be interviewed for the magazine, but so far I like what I'm learning, so I'll be sticking around.
Okay. So let's talk about the magazine, because I assume you want to make sure that you're going to be in good company. So the magazine is on iTunes, and there's a lot of iTunes traffic that comes to us, and I'll show you on my mobile. If you go to iTunes and you just type in Billionaire Mentor Magazine or just Billionaire Mentor, you can download it and open it, and it looks like this, and it's a digital magazine, and you can unsubscribe at any time, but you start with a free trial, and the free trial is 7 days. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you access to something so that you get it for free, all the issues. Now, the premise of the magazine started a while back. I go back into business about 21 years. Some of you have been doing more business than me. Some of you have not. But what I've learned, like Bucky Fuller and the lineage that he has, I'm most of Bucky Fuller's proteges, Marshall Thurber, Bobby DePorter, Keith Cunningham, Mark Victor Hansen. If you know who Bucky Fuller is, he was the Leonardo da Vinci of the 20th century. I have an affinity for the man, even though I never met him. Short guy, but a genius. What he learned is he knows what is by getting rid of what isn't. So the reason Billionaire Mentor Magazine was developed is, number one, don't kill trees, right? Keep the trees alive. I believe in trees. So it's a digital magazine. Number two, bring in more than readers. Bring in viewers and listeners. And what is the premise? The premise is that coaching may be worth 1,000 advisors, but I believe mentorship is worth 10,000 coaches. Now let me make that statement clear, because if you're a coach, that may sound offensive, but I don't mean to be. A coach and an advisor are two different things. Both are paid, but a coach is more Socratic, whereas an advisor is less Socratic. Monologue, that's advisor. Dialogue, coach. Now, you may disagree with that, but that's the way I make sense of the world, so just play with me on that. It's pretty consistent. A mentor is trialogue. A mentor is like a llama. as the Buddhists call it, or magister, as the Greeks called it. A teacher, a sage, someone that you're in for pretty much for life. And so mentor means that this is a lifelong person that you'll always look up to. And so on the cover of Billionaire Mentor, you will see a mentor who is no longer living. Now, in our first issue, it was Alan Dorman, who was Bernie Dorman's father, acknowledged as the one of the fathers of personal development. He grew up and had a house about 20 miles from where I'm sitting right now in Marin County, California, Northern California. And he's one of the mentors of Napoleon Hill, W. Clement Stone, and others. And so on the cover of Billionaire Mentor, there's always the mentor of yesterday and the mentee in the foreground in color. So black and white, the mentor is dead, no longer breathing, and the mentee, in this case Bernie, his son, tells the story. Now, issue number 2 was W. Clement Stone, and his mentee was Jack Canfield. And then issue number 3, which is coming out, it's Jim Rohn as the mentor, and the mentee is Mark Harris. Now, the reason we have this scenario, and if you have well-known mentors who are no longer living, you could be on the cover of the magazine. Now, I have a list who reads my stuff of entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs. They make $100,000 to about $10 million a year, and brick-and-mortar people who generate $250,000 to about $25 million a year. I've worked with Walmart, New York University, and I can go on and on and on, and who I've worked with. I can give you my speaker reel. It's not important. What's most important is if you want to be on the cover, we need a mentor who's generated over over $1 billion of value for the mentees. And Jim Rohn, W. Clement Stone, and Alan Dorman certainly have done that. And inside the magazine, we have different sections, and when you get access to it, you'll see. And I have a hard copy that sometimes I give away, but I don't like that because we're killing trees, right? And so instead, what the theme is all about mentorship, what I learned from my mentor and what I know today. Who am I acknowledging, standing on the shoulders of, like Newton used to talk about? I stand on the shoulders of giants. And that's the theme that you want when you're writing for the magazine. So when we do an interview of you, it'll last about 15 minutes. Please write this down. And no one else I know does this. Now, I don't know if we've ever crossed paths, but I'm the Larry King of interviews virtually. I've done over 4,300 teleseminars, and I jumped to Google Hangouts because they're a lot more powerful, and I've done over 1,200 Google Hangouts so far. I do about 3 a day. So I interview a lot of people. Why? Because I feel when my job is done, the other people say, we did it ourselves. So my job is to lead from behind with you. It's an ancient Chinese proverb. In other words, I'm a guide from the side. I'm not going to be the talking. I'm not going to do the talking like you're doing. Okay? What I'll be doing is ask the questions and not just make you look good. I want to delve deep into the article that you wrote. And then that's going to be a video, and that's going to be transcribed beautifully, not just words, but with call-outs, and we do a really good job, so they're fun to look at. And it'll be on, primarily, it'll be on LinkedIn. Why LinkedIn? Well, I have over 78,000 fans on Facebook, but they don't get me speaking gigs. I have over 150,000 followers on Twitter, but Twitter doesn't get me speaking gigs. Google Plus I utilize for video, but Google Plus or Google doesn't get me speaking gigs. LinkedIn gets me speaking gigs. And so it's my intention to become an influencer like Steve Jobs or Bill Gates. And first it becomes a publisher, then an influencer. If you know LinkedIn, you know what I'm talking about. So your article will be posted on LinkedIn, or probably already is, but then going deeper, the explanation of the article with a video and a transcript will be underneath, and I'll be promoting that to my tribe, and I recommend that you do the same. You were told that that's part of your responsibility, like mine. Now, in doing that, I don't know if you believe in karma or not, but I think you believe in seeds, right? So, an acorn turns into an oak tree, a watermelon seed turns into a watermelon, right? Redwood seeds turn into redwood. So what we're doing is we're planting seeds so karmically they can expand and echo and create this karmic nest. And so if not you, then it'll probably be someone else, as long as it's on the topic of mentorship. And why that's so important is whatever you're teaching, that's great, but what we want from you is to acknowledge the source where you got it, because one of the premises of getting high-end clients is not the result to get, that's ROI, return on investment. It's the evolution of the result, the cause of the result that's so important. I'll give you a very trite example. Jerry Springer, I've never interviewed and don't care for, but he'll usually have, let's say, a woman on, and a guy comes on who's impregnated 6 or 7 other women, and they're finding him out publicly, right? And so she's there, and she's taking a beating, and of course, I don't watch Jerry Springer, but from what I've seen, it's not really edifying to both the woman or the man, but Jerry Springer gets a lot of ratings as a result with his security guards or whatever. It's crazy, right? Infotainment, ridiculous, reducing versus expansion. Now here's the one thing that people never talk about, whether it's a woman or a man. Where did those two meet? Was it at a bar? And did they have an intimate relationship the first night? So what was the root cause of all that behavior that everyone is like yaying about? The guy's being the guy that he's always been, and she bought into it and thought maybe she was different. Or if it was a guy meeting a girl, it's the same thing. So when you look at Jerry Springer or a scenario like that that's ridiculous, what is the root cause? What's happening? So if you're not getting the exposure you want, to go to a more relevant example, it's because you're not repurposing your message enough. And so what we do is we take your article exactly as it is, and I focus on a few points of it, and I ask you, what inspired you to write it? Why is it relevant to your readers? Who is your mentor? And how can people activate it and expand themselves in the marketplace or whatever relevant area that you are focusing on? Usually it's business. That's why I love LinkedIn. And then your answers are going to be explaining the article. Now, I have a good friend, Gay Hendricks, who, with his wife, has written many books on couples. Conscious Couples was a big hit, but he's written a couple other books that are very, very cool. He lives in Ojai, California, which just seems to be a hotbed for transformational leaders, and I'm part of the Transformational Leadership Council with Jack Canfield and others. And I masquerade as a marketer, but I like to smuggle spirituality. And I believe that authors, as you, speakers, they don't make money speaking or writing books. They make the money explaining the books or explaining the speeches, as I'm doing now. So the whole purpose is for you to get more leads and exposure, and for the magazine to get more leads and exposure. So we're not a boat in a harbor, but we're the tide that rises all the boats, and some of the boats are leaking, right? So here's the premise I want to work on in attracting higher end clients. We're going to go very quickly now that I've established. Let's go round robin and see if any questions. No one's left, so either I'm really offending you or I'm spot on. So let's go with the first Steve with the red shirt. Questions or comments, confirmations that you want to have based on what I've said. Go ahead, unmute yourself.
Sounds good. I mean, we've met a couple of times at a couple of events you've been to. I publish my own magazine also. I'm always looking to interview people. Same concept, not mine is a direct response marketing base, but I like what your concept with your magazine, and I've always appreciated your marketing genius, the repurposing of content, being a publisher instead of merely a writer or producer of content. I like it very much. My high-end clients pay a lot more than $10,000 to me, so I'm also intrigued, always looking for ways to attract more clients I can help.
Okay, great. It costs me money to publish my magazine, so high-end clients really have an impact. By the way, I love your choice of color of shirts. All right, Steve number 2 with the lower third. Well done, by the way. You have a lower third, and at least I see you're the host of the Steve G Success Show. Comments, confirmations, anything that you want to talk about before we move on?
No, I thank you for the information thus far. I'm familiar with a lot of the concepts that you're talking about and the importance of us promoting each other if we're going to continue to work together in the future. And I love the idea of mentorship, because you're right, no man is an island, and we didn't come into existence at the space where we are, or at the level that we are, whether it's in our awareness or our success or anything else, by ourselves. We did it by starting asking questions. We went through a transformation process, but we had a guide, or several of them. And so it'd be great to have the opportunity to share about those people further down the road.
Would you agree that a mentor is a longer lasting relationship than a coach, just by definition, in your lexicon?
Oh, absolutely. Well, both can be lifelong, but certainly the mentors, I believe, have more impact.
Yeah.
Because to me, the mentor allows you to discover many of the answers and processes yourself with a little bit of guidance, whereas a coach actually shows you how to do things. It can be effective depending on what needs to be done, but certainly the mentor is of higher value.
Okay, I believe the same as well. All right, Lisa, questions, comment, because we're going to go straight into the methodology that I can't wait to share with you because I love showing off in public. So any ideas, questions?
I don't have any questions or ideas. I just have to agree with what the I believe his name is Steve.
Yeah.
I believe that when you have a mentor versus a coach, the mentor actually pushes you to think bigger and think in different ways, and they actually push you to start becoming the entrepreneur that you really are inside. So versus a coach who's just basically leading you towards the right direction that you need to be going into. So yes, I have to agree with Steve that having a mentor is much more sustainable than having a coach.
Thank you. Thanks for confirming that. Latursa, comments, questions before we move on?
I don't really have a comment. A question, but I like the ideal of having, I think both a coach and a mentor serves a great purpose, because I always say they can bring out more in you than you can see, because you're just a picture and they can see the whole frame. So I say both works good, because I'm the kind of person, I'm a hands-on, so I like to be around people that's more kind of headed in a direction that I want to go. So like I said,
you got it. All right, and then Eddie, if you want to write it down, if you're not unmuted, go ahead and write it down. Magnet. Yeah, I heard you now. Eddie, go ahead and write it down, and then we'll figure out what's going on over there. Okay, so and Latursa says, I love sharing tips that you are sharing. This is great. Take back to my business. Cool. All right, so I'll wait for Eddie, and then Eddie, you'll figure out what's going on over there. Oh, he's going to put on his headset. Now, before we begin, I assume all of you are smarter than me. But I also assume, and what's given me the right, is I've lost more money than all of you combined, and have made more money than all of you combined, utilizing this methodology. Now, not money in general, and money in general lost, but using this methodology. I don't know of anyone other than my students who use this methodology. It's going to be a different view about a methodology you probably know, but I'm going to codify it, label it, and make it as easy to consume as possible, and it's going to take us about half an hour. So if you don't have that time, we will send you the replay. I want to be perfectly clear and authentic with you. Now, I'm going to give you a text number to get access to the magazine for free, so you read the 3 issues, but I have to wait for about 10 minutes because part of the methodology is to wait 45 minutes before I give the number, and if you want to watch the replay, just fast forward, because that's called an ethical bribe with a hold. Now, Ron Popeil, now you may know or not know him, he's in the old days one of the pitchmen. He taught me this. Now, he's not a friend, he used to be a client from the infomercial business, and when a pitchman at a trade show or at a flea market, they do what's called a hold. They try to hold the crowd there because more crowd causes more crowd, which causes more crowd. You want to prove it? Go to Manhattan, and when you're walking around, just look up and go, whoa! And everyone will do the same thing, and you're just looking at the clouds, right? And so crowds gather crowds. And so this is what I'm doing, and this is what I want you to do during Hangouts and things like that. So I'm going to tell you the word is mentor. So M-E-N-T-E-R. So text the word mentor, just write that down, and I'll tell you what the number is in a moment, okay? Now, why am I doing this? I'm doing it so I demonstrate how to engage, enroll, and bring people in to your target audience. And so in the process of going through this process, I want you to do the same thing on Hangouts, because I believe I'm the only one who's taught a course on Hangouts called Hangout Marketing Training that's generated over 6 figures in less than 6 months and 7 figures in less than 10 months. So those are just results. That's not bragging, but I'm kind of the Hangout guy. I know what not to do. So Eddie says mentor with a question mark. To me, An advisor is someone who teaches me how to lose money because he's never done what he's advised me on. It's called unsolicited advice, which causes divorce. A coach is someone who is seeking my business. A mentor, like a lama or a great sage or teacher, has to be approached. Will you mentor me? That's the difference. Mentor is pulling in, coach is pushing. And they can be just as good. They can be all three, advisor, coach, and mentor, but that's my distinction. Okay? So if that makes sense to you, Eddie, you can just say yes. And let me see if I can hear you. Go ahead and say something. No, I can't hear you. We're going to figure this out later. We'll do it later. All right. Thanks for playing.
You were just questioning the spelling of mentor. You said M-E-N-T-E-R.
Oh, M-E-N-T-O-R, yes. M-E-N-T-O-R. It's going to be this, and I'm going to give you the number to text. So look what I'm doing. This is called cognitive dissonance. I'm giving you something useful but incomplete. All that's left is the phone number. And the first three numbers is 415. I'm playing with you, but this is what you want to do, okay? I had spelled mentor. I didn't spell mentor. Someone else did. English is not a second language, a first language for them. So thanks for that clarification. I will tell the person who sent it to you. See, mistakes are great. The more we make, the smarter we get. All right. So let's begin. Take some notes on this, guys and gals. PS means, what does PS mean? Well, PS means problem solution, and that's how most people sell or attract or enroll. Now, P to me means predicament or problem. It could also mean pain point. So predicament or problem or pain point. Basically point A. Now, the predicament that most people are in is enrollers. That means you, salespeople, authors, speakers, entrepreneurs, brick-and-mortar people, whoever. If you're trying to exchange confidence, I think that's what sales is. Confidence exchange. I call it enrollment because sales is a dirty word to a lot of people. You think of a plaid jacket and someone going, hey, come here, let me check it out. I'm going to sell you a car. You know, I don't care. I don't know what icon or what image you have when you hear sales. I love it. You know, I used to sell my mom, Carol, all the time with a very simple single line that said like this. It said, Mom, I didn't lie. The truth changed. She said, I told you your curfew was 12 p.m., midnight. I said, I came in at 11:45. Well, in reality, I came in at 3 a.m., but 3 is 11:45. So I didn't lie. The truth changed. That was in high school. All right. That was supposed to be funny, so I hope you're laughing. Predicament. Enrollers jump to the solution. Hey, Holly, welcome. I'm going to mute you. Enrollers jump to the solution way too fast. And S of PS stands for solution. So solution is about me, we. This is what we can do. I think I know your problem. Here's what we're going to do for you. Those are benefits. Those are advantages. Those are all the different things that you may have on a website or whatever you say in your speaker reel or your articles. This is your solution. And I believe my training, and I've taught thought leaders like you wouldn't believe, thought leaders, Fortune 1 companies. The CEO of Sam's Club, not of Walmart, of Sam's Club. He's now the CEO of Sam's in Europe and actually Walmart in Europe, so he got a raise. I've taught him not to focus on point B, which is solution. Solution is the ROI style of enrolling. ROI style, return on investment. If you work with me, you're going to get an ROI, solution focused. I don't spend 80% of my time in interviewing a strategy session like this is or a rapid revenue session on the solution. Why? Because they've heard it before, and I'm not differentiating myself from anyone else. What I do is I do the COI style. COI is something I coined. I hope it's ripped off soon, and that's cost of inaction. It's predicament-focused enrollment. Predicament-focused. You got a happy face and a dollar sign. Now, what is predicament focused? That's where you're focusing 80% of your time on the problem. I call it the predicament because a predicament is a sequence of problems. The cause that has been leading to the effect that they're in right now. It's a sequence, right? So I'm making $10,000 a month. Great. what's the problem? Well, I want to make $50,000 a month, and I can't. Well, my question is, let me ask you, how far each month are you from where you want to be? Well, Alex, what a stupid question. I go, why is that a stupid question? He says, well, it's $40,000. I said, that's not a stupid question. That's a great answer, $40,000. So ostensibly, you're losing $40,000 a month by not making the change that you need to make in order to be where you want to be. Is that accurate? He says, no, I'm not losing. It's usually he who says that. The women usually say, oh, yeah, you're right. But the he says, yeah, no, $40,000, I'm not losing it. Maybe that's opportunity cost. Let me tell you something, folks. Never underestimate the power of denial. It's not opportunity cost. If he's making 10 and he wants to make 50, he is losing $40,000 a month. Now multiply that by 12, because that's where he wants to be, right? 12. 12 times $40,000 is, he's losing $480,000 a year. Now, if he comes on board with me for 3 months and he comes into my office to do a deep dive, which is an intervention, and just getting his business and his marketing funnel in order, and then follow up with 3 months, that's a $25,000 proposition. So what I'm doing is I'm posturing my investment, that he's going to make with me, and what he's losing every single month. That is a COI-based or predicament-based problem solution. Okay, I want you to be clear on that, because I've taught people strategy sessions. I know people who make $5 million a year doing it the other way, and they could do so much more better this way. And here's the problem with any kind of enrollment. If you're talking to the person, you'll get the conversion. But if you train your staff, the conversion goes down. Why? Because they can't sell on the ROI model, the return on investment, what you're going to do for them. So when it comes down to ROI, I never talk about it, maybe 20% of the time. Why? Because they say, okay, $25,000, that's my investment with you, Alex? I go, yeah. They say, what's your guarantee? Now, I want you to write this down, because this is my guarantee. I say, I'm so glad you asked that. I want you to write down $25K on a sheet of paper so you look at it. So they look at it, and your number can be 50, it could be 100, it could be 10 for a speech or for whatever you do. It doesn't matter. And I say, look at that number, because if you work with me, my absolute positive guarantee is you will pay me in advance before we begin to work, and you will never see that money again. Any questions? Sometimes I offend them so much with that statement, which is mostly their problem, not mine. They go, okay, interview over. I go, thank God I didn't get a problem child. And then in most cases they laugh, and I go, ha ha ha, you got problem children too, right? So what's my return on investment is not up to me, it's up to them. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but it's up to them. So I don't talk about ROI. Now, I tell them what other clients have done, and when they come into my office, or if we do this thing by Skype, I have a client in Perth, Australia. We had to do 2 3-hour Skype sessions because she didn't want to travel all this distance. Not as effective, but it works. The first thing I tell them is, I'm not excited about this session. I'm excited for the next $25,000 you pay me, because you've gotten a return on investment so quickly if you do the work. And they go, what? I said, I'm all about the money, and I'm all about the results. And that means I'm all about you. I want the second $25K, so I'm going to work my ass off to make sure that you do the work. If you don't do the work, you're going to get fired, because we're not going to waste our time with each other. Now, again, I don't know if that seems harsh or ruthlessly compassionate, but I'm a nice guy. I'm the same person on and off stage. I think I'm a great dad. I'm divorced, so I know what it's like to be divorced and have a death in my life. I know what pain and suffering feels like. But if I focus on ROI, this is what you're going to make when you work with me. That does not work. Okay? So the COI template is very, very simple, and I'm going to give it to you right now. And I've taught it to people who are 91 years of age, who have cataracts, walk with a cane, and barely know how to turn on a computer, and a 6-year-old in Melbourne where English is a second language. So a whole range of people, and I've been doing this now for about 2 years. I've been living it for about 10, until I codified it and said, why don't I teach it, right? Now, if I teach it, more people will do it, and then I don't have as much resistance with people expecting return on investment presentations. They'll be very familiar with the COI format, right? So I'm not a content creator, folks. I'm a content curator. It's not about content creation anymore. People don't want thumb value. They don't want these thick notebooks and stuff coming in, where the box is hitting the ground. You go, wow, that's a lot of content. Everyone looks at that and say, wow, I don't want to do that. They want curation. They want recommendation, what to do specific that's relevant to them, and that's what I'm talking about. precision, like surgical bombing their inner voice, like they did in the Gulf War, unfortunately. Surgical bombing. You know, if you don't do it, then innocent people are dying. So surgical intervention means focusing on what's important to them, and they're telling you. So here's the enrollment template. Why this? Why me or us? And why now? Why this? Why me or us? Us is like our organization. And why now? Now, if people are getting mentored by me, it costs more. Why? Because it's my time. If they're being mentored by my certified mentors, I call it certification because that sounds better, but I've trained them. And they all make over $1 million a year. So that's kind of unique, right? And it's less if they mentor with them. Now, sometimes they want me, sometimes they don't. My preference is for them to mentor with someone else because I have more free time. So this is about relevancy. Us and me is about credibility. And now is urgency. And those are the three things that get you persuasion instantly. Relevancy, credibility, urgency. With Google, it's all about relevancy. If you type in homeschooling and you get a porn site as your #1 response, you're not going to go to Google anymore, and you're not going to send your kids there, right? In fact, you're going to take their iPhones away or smartphones. But Google is Google because of relevancy. Okay? Credibility. Ivan Meisner is a dear friend of mine. He's the CEO and founder of Business Network International. They do more business than the gross national product of Liechtenstein, according to him. And they have like 5,600 meetings a week, you know, all over the world. And what he's done is he has created a lot of credibility. In fact, it's part of his VCP process. You know, visibility, credibility, and profitability. If you know that, look it up on Google if you don't. And you got to have credibility before you can get to profitability. And then urgency, why now is the time. Okay? Now to me is where most speakers fall apart. I've been on stage, and the absolute best I've done in front of 110 people is $838,000 US. I did over $1 million, but I had about 150,000 drop out because it wasn't for them. And that was in Las Vegas, Nevada at the M Resort at an event of people who knew me. And I said I sold a very high-end product in a room of less than 110 people. I don't know if that's a record or not. I know people have done over $1 million at Learning Annex or Peter Lowe seminars or at 10,000 person venues. They make over $1 million bucks. But I've never known anyone to do less over $1 million or close to $1 million with 150 people. I use this template. I've also done less than $10,000 in a group of 15,000 people. Why? Wrong message to the wrong market. So that's my confession. I've completely crapped out and have failed, and I've done extremely well. And when I've done really, really well, I've made the distinction of one thing: decision versus choice. Why now? When why now is a decision, like I want you to decide now, and I'm going to reduce you if you don't make a decision now, it doesn't work. But when it's a choice, just like I gave all of you a choice, you can leave if you want. I don't want you here if you don't want to be here. Time is more valuable than money to me, right? Then make it a choice. Now, the choice to the little voice, and I'm always talking to the little voice inside. My friend Blair Singer has a book, The Little Voice Inside. You can call it inner voice. You can call it self-saboteur. It could sound like mommy, daddy, you. But typically it's a shovel to the forehead saying, I can't do this. I can't do this. And then you got another voice that's saying, I can. Whichever one you listen to is the one that wins. Well, the little voice that is a decision says, I have to do it. The little voice that says, this is my choice is, I get to do it. So you've heard of I have to versus I get to. The way to get high-end clients from your magazine article, when you get leads from it, if that's what you want, what are you writing an article for? What's the call to action? I'm assuming to get clients or patients or new buyers or speaking gigs or something, more exposure. That's what I'm assuming. Nothing happens until something is moving, said Albert Einstein. Again, I said that before. Nothing happens until something is exposed in marketing. That's what I'm saying. Ripping off Einstein. It's not even public domain yet for him to say that. So a marketing intervention, which this is a choice. And the way we do that is simply by making point A the COI format. You focus on point A 80% of the time, and point B is the ROI, which no one ever talks about. Point B. So let me show you something. It's a difference. Here's the metaphor I use many, many times over. So when I start an intervention in a recorded seminar, this is a screen share, I ask people, are you in this predicament? And then the predicament is about the Shawshank Redemption Tunnel. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but it's 3 hours. Tim Robbins, go watch it. It's a crime he didn't commit. It wasn't his fault, and that's every single client, customer, or reader you have. They don't think it's their fault. They don't realize that they've caused the result. So you want to align with that. That's probably true in your life, with your loved ones, your kids, if you have any, spouse, you name it, and with yourself, okay? It's not my fault. How did this happen, right? Look, if karma, worked immediately, we would lose a finger every time we killed an ant, right? So the cause and effect, there's always this space in between, cause and effect. So I ask people, are you in this predicament, all right? And then I talk about what the predicament is. And then I say, this Google Hangout is about other people's money and your time. And I'm teaching them, for the purposes of my offer, teaching them how to do Google Hangouts, hangoutmarketingtraining.com, right? I take them there. It's a $2,000 proposition. So I start with the cost of inaction. And I say, remember the Shawshank Redemption? This is the scene when he got out of the tunnel, and this is what he was doing. In the mud, everyone else would say, damn, it's raining, I'm in the mud, it's cold, but he has his shirt off and he loves it because now he's free. And why is he free? Because he was looking down a 500-meter tunnel full of sewage and crap coming from the prison. So actually coming from the prisoners, he's walking through that. He vomits and he crawls and he vomits and he crawls. And are you in that tunnel right now? I ask my people. I'm sorry to be so, direct and candid, but I want you to remember this, because I'm going to teach you how to get out faster. And even though it's muddy, that is fresh water out there. There's no sewage. And this hangout is really about regaining your liberty, not your freedom. Viktor Frankl had freedom in a concentration camp because freedom is a condition of the mind and the heart. You're free right now. You're financially free, but you're not liberated, which is a condition of the body. So all you need is more exposure, I tell them. And that's the beginning of my hangout. And it's automated, and it works extremely well. And that's what I'd like you to do, in the process of, doing these hangouts. So if you do a hangout or you write an article, that is the process that I use. And I believe that the ROI method is going for low end. Hey, come in for free and I'll upsell you. And COI is high end. This is about attracting people. This is about vibrating. If you vibrate at point A saying this is where you are, and you better move. I want you to be pre-motivated. I'm not going to motivate you. I'm going to hire you for attitude, not for skill. I'll train you for skill, like Southwest Airlines. This is about point B. Hey, this is what you're going to get. It's like people watching the movie The Secret. I know every single person who was on The Secret. And I know people, students of mine, have watched it 24 times. And they're waiting for money to drop down from Vishnu or the heavens or Buddha or God or Yahweh, whatever. And it's not going to work because they're not vibrating at that level. So the bottom line is when I'm presenting, I present with the COI mindset. And here's the number. If you want past issues, and I'm going to go round robin for questions because I'm done, because I've given you the process of the way I do it. And I'll give you a link so you actually see one of these strategy sessions where I do multiple, just like all of you. They'll come on, and I'll get either a $25,000 client. My downsell is $3,000, and the downsell from that is $1,500. And if there are 4 people there, I do them every week, I'll typically get one $25,000 client. Last week I didn't get one. But I'll typically get 1 or 2 $3,000 clients, which is high end for most, and then I'll get no $1,500 clients. Later on, I may pick up 1 or 2, and I don't tell them I want a decision now. I tell them, you can't make this decision now. Talk to your spouse. Talk to your little voice. Talk to the shovel that's about to hit your forehead after you leave. Go to other people, work with them, and then come back to me. Kind of like, go look at some other real estate and then come back and see why this is such a good deal, because you don't have a comparable right now. So if you take your mobile phone, this thing right here, this is an iPhone. I love Steve Jobs. If you text MENTOR, MENTOR, to 415-233-7726, then you will get prompted to get free issues. Now, if that system is broken, if it is broken for some reason, it's not, but if it is, just like we misspelled mentor, I'm using we loosely, I didn't do that, right? Then what I want you to do is I want you to text me personally or just call me. I'm going to write down my number so that you know you have access to me if you ever want to talk to me again. And that's if everything is broken, because I'm not sure. This is the first time we're doing this. 415-488-7406. 415-488-7406. Now, do I want you as a $25,000 client? Of course. Can I teach you how to sell high-end clients? Yes, that's what my mentorship is all about. Do I want you as $3,000? Sure. $1,500? Yeah, if you want. Okay. So those are my intentions, but my intention is to interview you primarily for Billionaire Mentor Magazine. So this is a seed, like an acorn, that turns into a giant oak, hopefully fields of acorns. So that's 415-488-7406. That is my mobile number. Let's go round robin before ending the podcast. I do a lot of those. The Hangout. Steve, with the red shirt, Steve. Questions, confirmations, any insults I may have had along the way. You're up. Unmute yourself and let me see you if you're still there. Go for it.
All sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, you bet. And we'll contact you about the interview, okay?
Great.
And then if you say yes, you know what I'm all about, okay? All right, Steve number 2, Steve G. Comments, questions?
Thank you, sir. My question is, if we proceed further and we are invited to interview, do we have to be a coaching client in order to do that?
No. I did this so you see what a coaching client looks like, so you can refer me to people if you want to. But you don't have to be a coaching client. Thank you for that distinction. I would never do that. That would be a decision. It's a choice. I just wanted you to see what I believe in, so that if our beliefs and premises are aligned, then we're going to have a great interview. And I will interview every single one of you if you say yes. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Lisa, unmute yourself.
I don't have any questions, and thank you for your time.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. You're like a champagne glass. You're so bubbly. It's like, hey, I'm going to watch this again. You've been very enthusiastic. And Holly, you came in a little late, but we can send you the replay. Questions or comments on what you saw, I think, for the last 20 minutes. Go ahead and unmute yourself. You look great. You don't have to worry about the video. You have a face for video. Go ahead and unmute. Eddie says, I'm good and I'm interested.
I know, my computer jumping off, so I'm trying to get in here and listen to everything that you have to say.
Well, you're perfect. Any questions or comments?
I missed, unfortunately, a lot of it because I'm just having technical difficulties.
Yeah, so no questions? No questions? Okay. Here's the good news. Whether you missed it or not, the view is nowhere near as powerful as the review. So YouTube is allowing me, as my partner, right, to have this recorded immediately because I just clicked on broadcast and now I'm going to click on stop broadcast, and you will get a link to this interview. I'm going to have it transcribed, and I'm going to teach others how to do this. You're a part of a course. If you give me permission, you'll be part of being promoted. So we'll make sure that we get the domains that you want people to go to. Here's a call to action. Only give one. Only give one call to action. Here's mine. FunnelMarketingBlueprint.com. FunnelMarketingBlueprint.com. That's my assessment before doing a strategy session with someone. Study it. I can give you access to this tool. It cost me $1,500. Jane Duber, who's a friend of mine, runs it. If you know Value Quiz and you've heard of it, I think I use it better than most because I'm a marketer. So I'll show you the beginning of what's called my client path that leads to the high-end funnel. FunnelMarketingBlueprint.com. All good wishes, everyone. Thank you for your time, your patience, and your energy, and for not throwing tomatoes at me. That's why I do these hangouts, because no one can throw anything at me.